Hello guys, welcome back to part 2 of our web scraping for beginners, and we'll be talking about CSS for web scraping. Now CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. A cascade is something that moves from a level to another level. A style sheet is a type of language that allows us to specify how things should look like. So we can add a CSS on our HTML script by creating a style element. Now there are two ways to create a CSS. We can use the internal styling and we can also use the external styling. Now internal styling is when we write our CSS script in between our HTML script. Now that is called the internal styling. Now to write an internal styling, I'll go to the head element. Remember, this is our head element. Then I'll just go down here after the title element. Now I'm going to create a style element by creating an anchor tag. I'm going to name it style. And we're going to style our HTML. I'm going to change the color of our HTML background. So we're going to look for our background. I'm going to color our HTML website the color red. And then let's check our HTML site and see. So as you can see, our website has turned to red. So this is what an internal styling looks like. Now, the external styling is a file extension that has a name and a file source, such as style.css or main.css, depends on the name you give it. And that file is where we write our CSS rules. So now I'm going to go to File. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to name this file style.css. I'm going to press Enter. I'm going to save it on our document. Then go to open up. Now this is the new style.css file, and in this window we can now style our website. First of all, let me delete this internal styling here. I'm going to delete this. Then I'm going to go back to our style.css and I'm going to change the color to red. So now I'm going to write the same script, HTML, and our HTML is going to be a background of, remember, is red. So now I'm going to go back to my HTML script, and then I'm going to link our style.css to this HTML script by creating a link element in the head section. So after this title, I'm going to press Enter. I'm going to create an anchor bracket. I want to name it link, and this link is going to refer to our style.css. Now I'm going to say rel, which is going to be style sheet because it's a CSS, and put the link of our CSS file here, which is going to be style.css. Then we're going to bring in our anchor bracket once more, and now let's check our script once more. As you can see, the background is red. Now this is the difference between an internal and an external styling. Internal styling, you do your styling in the HTML script, while the external styling, you do your styling in the CSS script and then link the CSS script to your HTML script. Now I'm going to add an image to our HTML website. So I'm going to say image, and the source of our image is going to be a smiley.jpg. Now let's run the code and see. Yeah, we're going to get this is the emoji. As you can see, the emoji is quite large, covers the whole website. Now we're going to style this emoji by using CSS styling. Now let's go back to our CSS file, and we're going to actually write another CSS script, and it's going to be image. And in our image, we're going to set the max width to 300, and we're going to work with pixels, which is px. Then we're going to set the height of any image on our website to be in automatic. Now let's go back to our HTML and see our website. So let me correct this. Yeah, now let's run the code and see. Yeah, as you can see, our HTML script, this is how our emoji looks like. We can also adjust and readjust this emoji. Now, there is something called a CSS selector. A CSS selector is a part that selects the HTML in order to apply whichever rules go into the CSS. A class selector is a special symbol used in adding an attribute to a HTML element. Now, in our CSS file, we are going to write a little bit of code. Now we go to our CSS. Then since we are working with a class selector, we want to put a dot sign. I want to name it blue text. I want to put our curly braces and press enter. I want to say color, and it's going to be Alice blue. Then we go to our HTML script. I want to create a header tag, which is h2. Let's put it after our h1. h2, and it's going to have a class. Remember, we are working with class selector, so we want to define it as a class, and it's going to be the name of our class selector, which is blue text. And our text is going to be this. This is a blue text. Yeah. Now let's see what we have. Yeah, look at it. This is a blue text. This is the Alice blue. This is what a class selector does. So now let's add another class selector. Now go to our style.css once more. I want to also put a dot for the class selector, and this is going to be green text. I want to put our curly braces. I want to put color, and our color has to be green yellow. Now let's go to our HTML script and put our history, and the class, the name of our class member is green text, and we're going to say this is a green text. Now let's see our website, greenish yellow, I think. Yeah, this is a green text. So this is how the class selector behaves. For you to use the class selector, you have to use the dot sign and the name of your class, then your styling or design. The ID selector has its own special symbol, the pound sign. It selects all elements without attributes. So for example, we're going to create a style of the ID selector. So remember, we want to use a pound sign. I want to name this main, and this main is going to color our h4, and we're going to give this guy a bisque or a badge. Then let's go to our HTML script and create a h4 tag, a h4, and going to have an ID, and our ID, the name of our ID is main, and we want to give it a text, which is this is a texting of an ID selector. Now let's check our website. It's going to have a, yeah, this is a testing of our ID selector. So this is how the ID selector works. You use a pound sign, unlike the CSS selector that use a dot sign. Now let's go to the attribute selector. Now the attribute selector, it is written on our CSS file as this. Now let's go to our CSS file. Now I want to put it, I want to say P, which stands for paragraph. Remember, P, the P tag is for paragraph. I want to give it a name called draggable, and it's going to have a color of, let's give this a blue violet or a brown. Now let's go back to our HTML script. I want to create a paragraph tag, and this our paragraph tag will have the attributes, or we want to link this paragraph tag to the CSS styling of our paragraph in the CSS file. I want to call it draggable. Remember, the name of the styling is draggable. I'm going to send it to true. Now we're going to put a paragraph. I'm going to say this is a draggable attribute selector for testing. Now let's check our website. This is a draggable selector, or this is a draggable attribute selector for testing. So guys, this is how the attribute selector does. You can use it to style a paragraph or anything else. Now it does not have to be only about your color. You can use it to work on your styling and your formatting. Now the next selector we're going to talk about is the tag selector. Now a tag selector selects HTML elements by their tag name. Now I can just go to my style.css and come here and see all the paragraph tag. should have a color of aquamarine, and I'm going to create like two paragraph tag here. Let's create them after the list. I'm going to create a paragraph tag. I'm going to say this is paragraph 1. We're going to create another paragraph tag here. Now let's check our website. We're going to have a color of aquamarine. Yeah, this is it. This is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. So this is what the tag selector does. You can use to style all your paragraph tag. It does not have to be only your paragraph tag. You can also use to style your H1. I can come here and say H1. Yeah, and I can create another H1 tag here. This is our H1, and let's check the color. Hello world. So guys, this is how the tag selector does. You need to style your tags in general, whether it's your header tag or your paragraph tag. You can use your tag selector to select any HTML element and tag all elements of that tag. Now we have covered everything we need to know about CSS in terms of web scraping. Now let's go into web scraping. I will see you on to the next video.